I have a part for my Ford Ranger. So I need somewhere to show you guys what I'm doing. And fortunately my desk's a little dirty right now. Good thing that problem was solved easily. Get in there, you. All right, so here's the part. That actually fucking worked. All right, so now that my box is slightly more open than it was before, let's show you what this is. Can't believe that worked. Part. It's well packaged, I'll say that. The fact that it survived getting blown up by a firecracker and actually not completely opening the package tells me that it is definitely well packaged. Now, this is my tensioner pulley assembly for my 1997 Ford Ranger. This is for the this is for the 140 engine, and it's a 4-cylinder engine. It's 2.3 liters. As you can see, it's a very simple little thing. It's just a pulley with your typical little housing. And what it does is it applies tension to your belt. Basically, your belt runs through here and applies tension by just turning into it. This is the extra bolt that it came with, which is always nice to have a new bolt when you're working on stuff. And some paper. Instructions, I don't need those, but I do appreciate the fact that they came with instructions. Now, it's not completely fair to compare my Ford Ranger to any typical Ford Ranger, seeing as, like, you know, my body mounts are sitting there and I have new ones welded to the frame, and I'm actually using a wrong coil spring. That's actually just for testing purposes. I'm gonna hit that off with a hammer at some point. And my entire front end is peeled off. So I've already taken off my old one because it kind of catastrophically ripped itself off. As you can see, there's no tensioner pulley there, and that's off of a Chevy. I wanted to see if I could make it work. I couldn't. It goes the wrong way. I don't recommend mixing parts. It's not good for your engine or your sanity. And basically all this is going to do is we're just going to put this in here like this, and then that little bolt that I was showing you before, the new bolt, is going to go right into there. My camera will focus. And yeah, so let's get to it. All right, I'm just going to start by hand tightening this. I'm basically going to just take my part, thread it down. I'm doing this all from over top the engine. It might be slightly easier to do this in a different area, but that isn't going to work for me. So, you know, I got to do what I got to do, I guess. Now, I believe this little part right here, this little guy right here, notches into one of these little notches here so that it stays in place, and then the tension is just applied by the spring. So if I can line that up, hopefully just right, maybe without my belt in the way. I'd recommend removing your belt first before you try and do this. This thing does apply a pretty good chunk of tension, and you're not going to be able to move it with your hands. And then this bolt just goes right into there like that, and we tighten it down. Nice and simple like. Alrighty, so. Now, of course, hardware is one thing. Now this takes a 15 mil, which is pleasant because working with standard on a vehicle is pretty common to see right around the 90s, like the 80s, 90s, when they were switching from metric to imperial. Or sorry, other way around, sorry. Switching from imperial to metric. And of course, you got a whole bunch of different weird bolts as a result. Bolts that were an imperial bolt on the bottom, for example, and then instead of just being an imperial bolt on top, they would, for some reason, have a metric bolt on top. So your threads would be imperial, and then your bolt head would be metric. Now, why they did this, I'm assuming is because it was just easier that way, but it was definitely annoying for a lot of mechanics when all of a sudden all the stuff that they're used to is completely gone out the window. Now, the way you get this on is basically just take a little 3/8 drive ratchet, and you put it in to loosen So get that switched over. This is probably easier than extension, but I was too lazy. You'll put it into the loosening side, and you just wrap your thing on like that, wrap your belt in, and just like that, you now have a functional pulley. Now, once I adjust my tension here, I can tell that this tension is perfect for my engine, because this is exactly how it was before the tensioner decided to, well, I shouldn't say exactly. This is slightly tighter, which is a good thing, and it's also less likely to catastrophically fail on me all of a sudden for absolutely no reason. Either way, thanks to Parts Avatar for doing this. It was a very easy experience using their website to find my part, and they had a nice good listing of all the parts that I might need. So, got the fan spinning. This is improvised, and I can't start it because my rad is not mounted. So, yeah, at some point I'll show you how to design a rad cradle from scratch, because I can't use that one, because that one, as you can see, is missing a good chunk of metal. And yeah, as you see, it's good. I'm gonna start the engine up when I can, and I'll show you then.